They're sort of boundaries. Because when we're not intending to make like a strict documentary on the subject, we've taken an approach. Right, I'll start with asking your name, Richard.
My name's Patrick.
Patrick.
Henry.
Patrick Henry. Right, what I'd like to ask you is, what does freedom of expression mean to you?
God, I was expecting something really personal. And that's the opposite. Well, no, I don't know. I suppose it depends how I answer it. Well, I suppose, in a way, I'd say that there's no such thing, because in a way, I don't think there's in any absolute sense, there's any such thing as freedom. So, in your expression, you're always addressing an audience. I don't think you can ever totally speak personally, because if you're expressing yourself, then you're engaging in some kind of communication, and so in that sense, I don't. In a way, in that sense, I don't think it exists. But in that sense, what I take it as meaning would be the ability to kind of express yourself as openly as you chose to within the given situation, without any kind of, I don't know, no, you said, I'm kind of talking myself out of any potential answer to the question, really. So I'll think of another way of answering it. I suppose in a kind of useful, to find a useful answer to the question, I suppose I take freedom of expression to mean to mean the opportunity to do or say what you choose without any kind of without in a kind of in a relationship where there's as little power imbalance as possible.
But do you think it would exist in state of power relationship?
I think that's probably the closest that you could get to it.
Where would we like to find that?
I suppose with somebody, with another person or a group of people who you trusted, and who you trusted and who knew you, where you would have, well, I don't know. You see, again, in that kind of, I mean, in a sense, that's an environment in which you could express yourself in terms of that, of kind of power. You could express yourself as freely as possible, but then again, you'd kind of, it's self-contradictory, because in that environment, in that situation, you'd have more to lose than in any other situation. In a situation in which there was the most trust and the most equality in that sense, which would come out of a close relationship, you'd have, the stakes would be at their highest. You'd have the most to lose by offending the parameters of that trust and the kind of, the boundaries of that relationship.
Do you think there's a positive or negative thing?
Freedom of expression. it depends what you mean by it. I suppose broadly I think of it as a positive thing. But it could be a destructive thing. It depends how, it depends on what the situation is. In a way, it's such an abstract question that without reducing it to an actual social situation, an actual specific set of relationships, it doesn't really mean anything. And so, in that sense, it's a very difficult question to answer.
That's why we asked the question. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it's very difficult to, if you abstract it to that extent and just say freedom of expression, and I don't say, well, what do you mean? Give me a set of circumstances to kind of to anchor it, then it almost doesn't mean anything at all. Well, what if I ask you what does it mean to you personally?
That is what you asked me. Well, that's what I took it to mean. I'm not trying to be evasive at all. I just mean that that's the only way I can think around it, really.
Not quite right. What means do you use to express yourself?
I think I express myself through I express myself through all of my actions, but usually not consciously. The kind of I suppose I most consciously express myself through just through speaking, just through words, because if I'm making images as a photographer, then I'm always, at the moment anyway, I'm always doing it within a professional context, and so my kind of self-expression within that is always very much kind of limited and contained, far more so than in, say, a conversation with a friend, by the brief, by the expectation, by the necessity of producing a product for a client, and what I can do and what I can't do within that. So in a way, reluctantly, I put that to one side and say that I suppose it's true, because I don't kind of put myself in any situations where I'm saying, right, within this, when I come down to the studio, I'm an artist, and I am the what I'm doing with this medium, whatever it is the object of the exercise of self-expression. I express myself through kind of social interaction, and that's it, really.
Isn't that it? Just like to sit still for a while, and you just do a couple of fade-out shots and fade-down shots. How do you feel?
Fine. I feel like it's kind of the wrong answer in a way, because I know there isn't. I know you're not presenting with a situation where I could give a wrong answer, but it's kind of like, it's such a, I mean, it's an honest answer, but it's kind of, it's so much a relative, you know, it's so much what I'm saying is kind of like, you know, it's what I actually think is that it's so much relative to the situation and the environment. But it's not an absolute thing, and I think, you know, you can kind of construct an absolute idea of what it could be in a kind of romantic way, but no, well, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I do think that it's a right, but I think it has limits as a right within a social kind of thing. There are limits to self-expression. You know, like, I think when your right to self-expression begins to threaten other people's right to self-expression and self-determination, then that's the point of crisis. Well, you have to kind of negotiate it, don't you? If you want to be living with other people in a peaceable way, then you have to negotiate it and try and find a way. I suppose you have to decide on rules. You have to decide where you have to set an arbitrary line and say, at this point, well, not totally an arbitrary line. You have to agree a line and say that beyond that line, it's your self-expression becomes a threat to other people and other people's self-expression, and then I suppose you stop it.
A phone stick to a hippo or whatever. You have to make it yourself. So they're all like biology's Mr. Gadget squirreling away in their shed, creating these things. So some of them. The last night, Bill, who made this fantastic discovery about hippos, he had a hydrophone attached to two sticks that's wrapped around a hamster run, it's a hamster run at the end. It was a hamster run. There's another scientist on last night was using a pair of his mother-in-law's tights stretched over a very important piece of kit that costs £500,000 that normally tests vibrations on jumbo jets. So they're all sort of cobbled together from all different things. And the vervet monkeys, I was using a garden ornament because there have been no leopards in Mombasa for 20 years, so I had to go and get this garden ornament to show them. And then when I was doing the hawk, I had a broken kite. Actually broke halfway through the experiment. I was thinking this isn't going to work, but it still did work. So
you know what occurs to me? You're talking about a lot of exotic animals. There'll be people at home now thinking, well, I talk to my dog or cat every day, and they understand every word, and I can understand that. I can understand noises that they make too. Is that a version of the same thing? Because some people say they absolutely understand. Dogs bark for a certain thing, or cats meow, or they sound different. They can have a dialogue.
Well, we didn't do pets in this, so we just did about animals speaking to each other. But I do know that dogs, for instance, and the reason why they're man's best friend is because we have a really fantastic ability to read each other's emotions and communication. So whether you are